Carolina Fishing TV, showing you how to catch fish.
This morning I've got 3 guests on board. I've got Alyssa Yoho and her sister Brianna Yoho, and I've got Graham Guthrie. And this morning we're going to do something a little bit different. As you know, Captain Mike and myself run many inshore guided trips and nearshore guided trips along North Carolina. But there's some other stuff that we've been doing for years that most people don't know about. We're going to look for some clams today. These cut banks along the ICW and along the beaches here also offer plenty of shark's teeth too. And then we'll probably move back into some of the creeks, learn how to throw the cast nets, catch some shrimp. And if everything works out right, guys, I think we're going to try to take some of those live shrimp and maybe go try to catch a few trout or black drum. All right, folks, so what we're doing right now is, first of all, we're looking for quahogs, clams, hard-shell clams. There's one right here. We'd call this a little neck. You know, this is just a really good place for it. All these shells right here, all this shell up and down the ICW, it helps catch the spat, the small clams as they're settling down. And what you want to do is you really want low tide. You just have to turn over the shell, work that edge, just work the edge of the water line. And sometimes, there's one there, look. Sometimes you'll find big knots of them. We call them knots, but concentrations of them. If you get in a really good spot and maybe 5 or so square yards, you might pick up 15 or 20 clams. Girls, guys, let's go ahead and get down and probably just stay right along this edge of this water. And they're not deep. The bottom was right there, so they were just a 1/4 inch or so into the ground. But there's layers of clams. The smaller ones are layered down that can be up to about 16, 18 inches deep. Alyssa didn't even scrape the bottom here. She was over here working. I happened to look down at her foot, and that looks like the lips of a clam sticking up. He's a bivalve. Clam's a bivalve. So on this corner of the clam, that corner of that shell, let's pull it out. So yeah, on that corner of the shell right there, he'd open up, and 2 little valves, looks like 2 little hoses would come out, tubes, and one of them sucks the water in, runs it through its filter. It's a filter feeder, and then spits the water back out of the other tube. Since we're along the ICW and we get yachts coming through here, we get 2 and 3 and 4 foot waves getting crashed up on these beaches all the time, on these shores. So it washes this stuff out, just literally washes them out. If they're just below the surface, a lot of times their hinges will stick out. Pop it out. We might not even have to hack this morning. There's 2 with their lips sticking out. I've spent probably 15 years just targeting these, literally for a living. And pick up anywhere from about 700 on a slow day to 2,000 on a really good day. There's another one. Now he's a little small. See that, guys? He's just under 1 inch. So 1 inch in width, minimum 1 inch width. So I'm going to stick him right back in the ground. I don't want to just drop him on the ground and leave him exposed. If I do, he might not dig back down before something gets him. Those clams, when you hit one, it's just a real solid feeling, and it's a different sound on the teeth, the prongs of the rake. Right here, look, guys, see that one? That wasn't us. We hadn't hacked there. That was just the waves coming up and washing that out of the bottom. Go ahead and pry them out. Make sure you count them up, okay? I'm gonna give you a quiz. All right, we've been here about what, 15 minutes maybe? 15 minutes or so, and we've already picked up 60 clams. We've just been using a couple little garden hacks, little garden rakes. And look, Graham just found another one sticking out of the bottom right here. You know, really good eating these are. They're called quahogs, hard-shell clams. They're harvested up and down the whole eastern seaboard. If you don't have a commercial license, you can't sell these. So you can harvest them and you can keep them to eat, but you still have to pay attention to the guidelines. We are around the ICW, and typically from the ICW out toward the inlets, that's always open unless there's a lot of rain in a short period of time, which drops the salinity. If you're not sure about the maps and how to read those maps on open and closed areas, you'd want to at least at minimum call Division of Marine Fisheries in North Carolina in Morehead City and ask them. But we call these little necks. We start getting into clams about this size. We call those top necks. And I don't really have too much for, these might border cherry stones. That size, a little larger than that, we call them cherry stones. And then the larger ones, anything bigger than that, we call chowders. And the smaller ones are actually worth more money. They're usually tender piece of meat in there. And as you get larger, they're a little more tough. Cherry stones and the chowders, we typically make clam chowder with those, where we take the clam on the half shell, dice up everything, make a good mixture, and then bake it into the shell. And the smaller ones, like the top necks and the little necks, we tend to eat those on the half shell a lot of times, so, or put them in a sauce or something like that. So make sure you contact Division of Marine Fisheries, go out, get you a few hack rakes, catch you a few clams, and add something else to the dinner table on the weekend. We've hopped up on a little spot of cut bank here, we're looking for shark's teeth. Most people look for shark's teeth out along the beach, and the beach is typically a lot of just real fine sand. The ICW, the Intercoastal Waterway up and down the coast of North Carolina, has been cut. It's man-made. They've dredged it out probably 40 plus years ago, and they've piled that stuff up on the edge of what is the ICW, and these things we call them cut banks. And these cut banks are all dredge material, dredge spools. That's what we're standing on right now. If you walk up and down these cut banks, you'll find certain cut banks tend to have good, big deposits of shark's teeth on them, where there was a lot of them, I guess, buried up in the ICW when they were dredged out years ago. There's one right here. It's not a real well-formed tooth. It's kind of worn. Let me turn it a little bit. There it is there. It's missing the, from your perspective, the left-hand top of the root right there. That would have been the point of the tooth, and there's the top right-hand side of the root. But there's a tooth that's probably about 3/4 of an inch in length. And hold on, look. There's another one right there. Look, it's still buried up. See that? There's a tiger shark tooth right there. And you're going to find a variety of colors up here. They're not going to all be white. A lot of these are real dark in color where they were buried up for years and years and years in the clay bottom. This happens to be kind of a clay-like bottom just below us here on the water's edge. So guys, what we want to do is we want to get down near the water's edge and maybe stay side by side like a little search team and then comb through here and looking for these teeth, okay? We'll see how many we can find. We'll work our way back toward the boat. That tooth's about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches long. And a nice tooth there. It's missing a little piece of the root, but it's a nice big tooth. Good job, Graham. And usually you don't even have to push it around a little. You can just see them sticking on top. Alyssa just found a monster. Look at that. That one's, it's not a full tooth, but that's a, that's probably off a mako or something. That's large. There's the left-hand top part of the root's missing on that one. There's another one right there. That's a piece of one. That's not a whole one. Look, see it? See part of the root's gone? That's a monster right there. I don't know. We have to look at that. It's worn down a lot. See it? The point come down to here. The root is probably, what, 2 inches wide, but it's almost as wide as it is tall. An extinct mako shark tooth, or it's a megalodon tooth, a great white. That's the main tooth. The root was real narrow. A piece of root's missing. Again, that's probably a mako tooth there. See it? That's a brown one there. Looks like a little dusky. Real long tooth, about 2 inches long. The width would have been 1.25 inches. That looks like it's probably a tiger tooth. The point's missing off of here. It turns a little more. It's got really sharp, jagged edges. I don't know. We probably spent about a half hour up on this cut bank, and it looks like Graham gets the award for the biggest, the prettiest tooth. You come by those once every 4 or 5 times on a good area like we're on right here. That's a really good tooth, Graham. The width is pretty close to its height too, so it might be an old great white tooth or small megalodon tooth. This one looks more like the extinct mako tooth. Even if the other side was here, it would, the width would be probably 1 inch, hair of 1 inch, and the height would be 2 inches or so. So that's probably an extinct mako, but we'll have to check the chart on that too. We've got a few tiger shark's teeth right there, usually a little more turn to them. They got real sharp ridges down the edges of those tiger teeth. And we get into these and we're looking at like our duskies and stuff. We got quite a few teeth though. We probably picked up 30, 40 teeth there in about a half. We're moving into the back creeks right now. It's about mid-October. And this is close to the end of our run of shrimp in the backwaters. And we're going to learn how to cast a cast net, and we're going to try to catch some shrimp. If we catch some real big ones, we might go ahead and eat them, throw them with our clams and eat those. But we're definitely going to try to catch some to use for bait. There's really no need to use a net any taller. The height of the net, which is actually, this 6-foot net is actually a 12-foot diameter, so that it's got a 6-foot radius opened up, but we call it a 6-foot net. It's named after its radius. There's really no need to go much larger on the size of the net than the depth of the water. So if we're in 4 or 5 foot of water, I don't need more than a 6-foot net. The lead starts sinking, pulling down, and the net kind of forms like an umbrella. And it slowly comes together until it's almost vertical again, and it would close up if it had to sink too deep. So you need a larger net in deep water. The only advantage you're getting with a larger net now is if you come into an area, you're covering more area, quickly with a single cast. I'll bring mine, I call it choking it up to that height here, adjusting to that height. I fold my net over so it's like a 3-foot net. And I'm using my right hand now, so if you were using left hand, it would be opposite. But I'm going to grab some leads and I'm going to hang them on like 2 fingers. I don't want to use 1 finger because you'll strain that finger, but 2 fingers. And then the left side of the net, I grab the lead line so that the inside of the net with all the threads is pointing away from me. about halfway through the stroke of this motion, I'll open up the back of my hand and let all this bunt right here go. I'll let it all go. And the only thing I'll be holding on is these two fingers. These two fingers will still be holding on. I'll let go of all this mesh. I've got pinched in between I'll use my index finger and my middle finger to pull that net around to keep the motion going. This is not a heavy net. It weighs about 6 or 7 pounds. So it's a nice, gentle motion. You might see us do it real quick when we're throwing real hard, but we're not actually throwing real hard. We're getting a rotation off from it when we do it. So, and it happens so quick, it's probably a split second between letting the bunt go and then finally letting the leads go. Good cast. That's got to be a shrimp or two right there. I'm going to get right next to you in case there's a bunch of them there. All right, good. Start pulling it in. Open it up, drop them in there, shake them out. These shrimp start showing up for us. It starts off with the brown shrimp, and that's early in the season, usually around May or so. They just start showing up, and by June we've got a lot of brown shrimp around. As we get into the fall, you know, later in the summer and early fall, we get these white shrimp come in. They're a little faster. They're faster moving. And these are the last shrimp that we'll see in here in the backwaters. And usually we can get shrimp for bait real easily through the month of October. In November, it gets a little harder. Depends on how quick it gets cold out and the water temperatures. Water temperatures and how much rain we get, how quick the salinity drops. Too much rain and the shrimp start heading for the ocean real quick. So make small loops about 1 foot in diameter or so and coil it up. We want to do all those until we're done gathering up all the rope. Now you pick the collar up, it's called a collar, and you put it in your hand just like that. Open all your hand up, grab it, okay? There you go, and you pick up some leads, and you want to hang them on this finger and this finger. And these two fingers operate and hold this string, and all those fingers just hold all that material right there, okay? Now you want to grab this right here, the other lead line, so that the inside of the net, see all the strings? They're facing away from you, they're not in here by you. And you're going to pull that right hand around, and you're going to swing it around and your left hand's going to go under, your right hand's going to go around over, kind of like you're turning a big wheel. There it is. Let it sink down, let it sink all the way to the bottom. Now pull on it. Just got one in there. Let go of everything. That's it, let it sink down now. Good shot, good cast. Okay, then this is the collar. You want to slide this in just like that, hold the whole thing. And then we pick up a piece of lead and you hang it on these two fingers. Okay, you're going to come like this, watch. Don't let go of anything, I'm just going to show you. You're going to come over the top like that, real hard. Okay, and this hand's going to come underneath, so you're going to kind of spin your hands in the air like that. Okay? Good job. All right, it opened. Now let it sink down. Good job. Let's get a few of these shrimp out. We're probably going to need quite a few too. I'll show you the rigs we're going to use and see if we can catch some sheep's head or black drum, red drum, flounder, anything that could be in here. I'll show you, I'll talk about the type of places we're fishing real quick. It definitely helps to have a live shrimp. That live shrimp will kick around down there and stay away from those pinfish just a few seconds longer than a frozen shrimp, dead shrimp. We use a lot of these adjustable float court rigs, and all we've got basically is about 1.5 to 2 foot piece of leader. We use like 25 to 40 pound test depending on if we're fishing for red drum or trout. This is a number 4 Cal hook. It's almost like a circle hook, not quite closed, as tight. And then I just have a swivel on the other end. And then I like to adjust the weight depending on the current. Some areas the current's real strong, you need more weight to get that bait down. Some areas there's not much current, so we don't need as much weight. So I just clip on a little split shot, tie an overhand knot in the line, just one loop overhand, pull through, just so that when I clip the split shots on there, they might slide down and sit against that knot, and they won't go down any further. And then above it, with the swivel, I have a cork sitting on the string, a little bead. We have this little stopper string. It's hard to see that green string there. You can actually buy them. They come on, they're stopper strings is what they are. They come on a little knot that's pre-tied onto a little piece of straw, like a coffee straw, and then you can slide this little stopper string up and down wherever you need to. If we go fish a shallower location, I can slide it down so it touches bottom and floats in 2 or 3 foot of water. And what happens is that string stops that little bead, and then the bead stops the cork. But at the same time, it allows us to reel our line all the way up so we can make a cast. Because if I had to use a fixed cork, a stationary cork with an 8 foot leader underneath, I wouldn't even be able to cast. There he is. Pull, pull, pull. Ram. You got him on there, buddy. Ram's got one on. Oh, look at that. Oh, buddy. That's all you. The biggest thing, you notice what Graham's doing? Graham's keeping a lot of bend in that rod. We're in a strong current here. These fish are anywhere from a couple pounds up to 10 pounds or so. All right, when we see them, I'm gonna try to dip them. I see a black drum. So he's big, isn't he? Come on. All right, let's see if he goes to the motor. That's it, good job. He's almost here. You're doing a perfect job. If we tighten down that drag, it'll probably rip his lip out. Ready? Pull back right there. Pull back everything you got. Got him. Woo! That's a nice black drum. I believe she'll go about 3.5 pounds to 4 pounds. Look at that. Give me 5 on that one. Remember I was telling you no teeth? Look. Feel his mouth. Put your fingers in there. Feel him. How's it going, guys? You want to eat him? Yeah? Alright, we're going to put him in a live well. We call them split shot rigs, or it's like a little Carolina rig. It's the same exact rig. We'll just take the cork off, and it allows us, what we'll do is we'll have just enough weight on there where it tends bottom, but not enough weight to hold it on the bottom. Like a Carolina rig, most people have a large egg weight on it. This is just enough split shot to let it bounce on the bottom, so we can actually, I can toss it behind the boat in this current that's moving away from us, tide's coming in, and I can just drop it right next to the boat. But once it tightens up, since it's not a whole lot of weight, the current will try to lift it off the bottom, and at that time I'll open the bail and let it have some more line 5 or 10 feet further. The sinkers will pull it down to the bottom again, and basically what happens is that bait ends up on the bottom, rises off the bottom with line back, it goes back 5 or 10 feet, hits bottom again. It hops off the bottom going back. We just came off a real good low tide. Tide's been coming in about 45 minutes, and we've meandered away, worked our way up inside of some of these little narrow creeks here around the inlets, around Bogue, Bear Inlet. We find holes, places that are 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 foot deep or so, and where the rest of the surrounding water might only be several feet deep. And on low tide, any fish that are in these little estuaries back here would have to come out of these creeks because they might be bone dry, completely dry, or there might only be a foot of water in them. And some of these fish might be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 pounds or more. And so they'll come out of these ditches and creeks and lay down in these little pockets, and when the tide turns around and starts coming in, they start looking for food again. Anytime the tide's moving, they really start, they have to use energy, they got to eat. Taking this live shrimp, you can hook them a lot of different ways. I'm actually hooking them in the head. There's a clear spot in the head, right between 2 little dark spots. And right through that clear spot, they'll stay alive. What we want to do is we want to ignore if there's little pecks on the rod, we call them little pecks, if the rod's just tapping real lightly. We want to ignore that. What we're looking for is a good thump on the rod. 1 or 2 good thumps. And then I still won't pull. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let him eat, because a black drum doesn't have teeth up front like us. He's got crushers down his throat. I'll give him a couple seconds or so to get that shrimp down. And usually he'll get a hard thump, and then within 5 or 10 seconds it'll start swimming off. And when he starts swimming off, that's when I set the hook on him. She's got one on. Reel yours in, Graham. You got a fish, or is it hung on the bottom? Let's stick him. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, I think you might have that big sheep's head. I don't know. He's got a big fish. Graham, why don't you walk forward a hair right there? I don't know. You got something good though. That rod bent over absorbs all the shock when he pulls, so it doesn't pull on his lip too bad. It's about a 3-pound black drum. It's got a lot of pull to him. They've got a high head on them like a mahi does, and they use that head to their advantage. There you go. Pull up and reel down. Well, he's peeling line off from there. All right, one more time. See if we can get him. There he comes right there. Oh, nice one. Look at this one. Woo. That is a pretty black drum. Look at that black drum you caught, girl. Good job. See those feelers? Just brushing the ground. If a crab or something's below him, it'll move, and he can feel that with the any motion. He can feel through the little feelers hanging off the bottom. He turns right down it real quick and sucks it in. We got to have something to go to those clams and those shrimp, don't we? All right, Alyssa, point your rod tip to the right. There you go. Graham, put that one in the middle.
Yes.
That's it. Nice and slow movements with the rod tip. That's it. Good job. You got a big fish on there. Act like he's hung him on the grass on. So let me see it real quick. No, he's not hung on the grass. That's a big fish. Got that one in, Graham. Good job, buddy. Look at that. Yeah. I want to see how big that one of Alyssa's got. All right, you step to the other side of the boat. Alyssa, what you got here? You got a dinosaur? What you got? Keep cranking, keep cranking. All right. Just a little more? All right, you should be good now. He's gonna come in now. Reel down, pull up. That's it, reel down, pull up. Good job, he's a nice one, girl. When he clears his head, pull back over your head as hard as you can. Right there, pull back over your head. Right now, pull back over your head. Pull, pull, pull. Pull, pull. Pull. That's a big one. That's a big one. Oh, listen, I want you to look at what you just caught. Come here. I want you to look at what you just caught. That's a 4.5 to 5 pounder right there. About 4 3/4. That is pretty work right there. Give me 5 on that. All right, we're back here at Swansboro. The Mullet Festival is actually going on back here every year about the second week of October or so. And there's usually anywhere from 5,000 or 10,000 people come through throughout the weekend. So a lot of local arts and crafts and a lot of good food. So if you're ever down here in Swansboro around mid-October, check out the Mullet Festival. We've caught a mess of clams today. We picked up a bunch of shark's teeth today. We caught quite a few shrimp. We took our shrimp, went and caught a bunch of black drum, anywhere from about 3 pounds to 5 pounds. You did a good job today. Give me 5 on that, people. Good job. The coast has a lot more to offer than just fishing. I know I had to revert back to it kind of toward the end of the trip because we love to do that, but there's just a variety of things to offer down here. There's other stuff we didn't even get a chance to do today. I know during, not only do we offer guided fishing trips, but we do guided tours like this too, ecology tours for groups of any age. So if you are down this way and you're not into fishing this coming summer or later this fall, even if you want to do some of this type of stuff, give us a shout. Captain Mike Taylor, Captain Jeff Cronk.